My name is Karabo Sinna, so I'm the general manager of membership. So pretty much I deal with all the artists that are registered with SAMRO.
Cool. Just in a nutshell, if to explain in layman's terms, what does SAMRO do as an organization?
Yeah, I think simply a lot of people, when they think of copyright, the first thing they think of is SAMRO, right? But I just want to give you an overview just so that we all understand where SAMRO sits and what other rights exist, which are controlled by other societies. So when you talk about copyright, you're actually talking about two distinct type of copyrights. The first one being copyright in the recording. That's where you hear people talking about masters and all those sort of things. And then the other one is copyright in the composition. So this is the publishing end of it, right? So in the copyright in the recording, you have your likes of RISA and, for example, SAMPRA. SAMPRA controls the needle time right. And then in the copyright in the composition, where SAMRO sits, this is now where we focus on not necessarily the performance, because copyright in the recording is the performance of the work. But with SAMRO, in terms of copyright in the composition, we are focused on the creators. So when we say creators, these are people that actually created the work. So be it the composition or the lyrics, they wrote them. So those are the guys that we're talking about. So in that space, there is SAMRO and Capasso. So just to be in a nutshell, SAMRO administers what we call a performing right. So what that is just focused on the creators of the work in terms of the music that you hear, and then as well as the lyrics, and also publishers are in that space as well.
Yeah, and I've heard that actually almost 80% of SAMRO members. Before we continue, I just want to ask the guys at the back. You are a bit loud, Chris. I've heard that 80% of the SAMRO members end up earning less than 1,000 rand a year, which is not really a great statistics, because it means that a chunk of the money that is paid out by SAMRO is really going to 20% of members. Why is there such a statistic?
Yeah, so SAMRO firstly is, let's put it into perspective. SAMRO is the biggest society in Africa, so not just in South Africa, right? So what we collect about 500 million every single year, and these are the numbers based on that 500 million. All the other societies, Capasso and so forth, is like 100 million or something of that sort. So from that 500 million, what we firstly need to discount is the fact that we don't play mostly South African music. That's problem number one. So if you are listening to Jay-Z and you are jamming to it, right, on radio, on TV, guess what? We send the money to Jay-Z. We can't just keep it here and say, Jay-Z, sorry. No. So Jay-Z, Beyonce, all these people that we're listening to their music, we send the money there. So internationally, we send out around about 40% of what we collect. That's the first problem. So that goes to all the, mostly the US, the UK, and then any other country thereafter. And then from what we keep here, there is a huge component. So when you look at music, I know majority of you might be focused on commercial music, but there is a big difference between commercial and production music. So when I say production music, I'm talking about you are watching the news, right? We all know that before the news comes on, there's a song that plays. Whatever that song is, that guy, every time that song plays, is making money, right? So your song on radio, yes, it might play once in a while. I don't know, maybe 4 times a day. That's different. The news plays every 4 times an hour. And then there's even sometimes a reminder that the news is going to play and they use the same song. So that in itself, already you can see it creates a huge disparity. Now, with that in mind, it means that production music, right, will be played a lot more because for TV and radio, you have a lot of production music. And in South Africa as well, from a gatekeeper sort of mindset, there are a lot of people that hold these contracts. So if you were to ask me, what is the biggest earner, like a person in SAMRO? It's about 2.2 million rands, right? Every single year that we pay a specific individual. And that is without that person working. They're not gigging or anything. They sit at home and we send a check of 2.2 million rands. And then, yes, the lowest earner is, literally, like I know it sounds sad, but you can literally have a statement that you see with, 5 cents, something as ridiculous as that. So the statistic is correct. 80% of our members. So we have, when we say 80%, it's 80% of 20,000 people. So SAMRO has about 100,000 members, but the other members, we call them prospects because these are not the ones that earn. So when we say 80%, we're talking about the 20,000. That's a big number. So from that, they earn below 1,000. But just after that, it starts to pick up very quick, right? So just to make it, sort of like short, at SAMRO we have people that we call the top 300. These are the people that were obviously from an earnings perspective. And you will find that in that sort of top 300, none of the people that you might know are in the top 10, for example. There's no AKA, there's no Casper, no, you don't even know them. These are the guys that in the background, you're watching Isidingo. That song, Isidingo, somebody earns every time it plays. And I think it's important for me just to give you a number, and then just so that I don't labor on this point. SAMRO, we pay per second of usage. So it's important to understand that. The longer something plays and the more it plays, that person earns money. So let's say, for example, SABC 1. How much do you think per second is? You might say, maybe it's 5 cents. No, it's not. It's like 1.20 per second. All right? SABC 1, because it's one of the highest earning sort of stations in terms of ad rev. So every time you hear that song, a song plays there, a soap or anything, every second that person is 1.20, 1.20, 1.20, 1.20. So you see how it adds up to 2 million rands easily. But when I come to these forums, I always say to people, guys, it's not always about the production, the commercial music. Because I have a lot of guys that have moved from motswako or hip-hop or even house, and now they're doing production music, and they're actually getting paid a passive income instead of just gigging.
Yeah, and so if the highest earners are not necessarily people who are doing commercial music, and by commercial music, not like deep house commercial, just DJ type of music that plays on radio. And I think we touched a bit on production music yesterday. Do you have an idea of how someone who's new into the industry could possibly get into those spaces of making music, production music rather?
Yeah. The good thing about SAMRO, we deal with, we also in those members, right? We have about 1,800 publishers. And what's unique is that I deal with the likes of like your Universal, Sony, all the way to the guy who just starts up, and they say, hey, I want to do this thing. And what's interesting is that over time, there's certain people that have done certain things, which I'll talk about now. And, that's what I think sort of works. Is that the first thing that you need to focus on is the ownership of the work, right? A lot of times people don't care. You're just happy that your song is playing. But unfortunately, you're not the one making the money. So who owns the song? When I say who owns the song, we know you created it, But after that, you need to try and keep it. So meaning that you need to make sure that you own the copyright of the song, most of it as you can. Thereafter, the whole idea is that you need to try and create a catalog. A lot of people don't focus on creating a catalog. I speak to a lot of artists that they have a lot of songs, but they don't even remember. The worst thing that artists do is that they don't do administration. That I can tell you now. Most of you don't do administration. If I can ask you how many songs you have, you'll say a lot. How many of them are registered? I'm not sure, but you want to be paid. How's that gonna work out? It never works. So the big thing is try and own your work. After that, do your administration. Create a catalog. Once you have a catalog, when we say a catalog, it means you literally have different sounds for different things. It's not a song, like a full-on song. No. Different sounds. So, like mood music. You know what I mean? If you watch a movie, there's something that makes you feel in a certain way. It's not that person is crying that makes you feel like that. It's the music behind it that actually drives that emotion. So people create that. And thereafter, there are certain publishers that you partner up with. When I say, and I'm emphasizing the word partner up with, you're not selling your catalog. I don't want to promote specific ones, but guys that actually are literally contracting with like the likes of your SABC, your ETV, even multi-choice, different channels, Mzansi and so forth. So those people already have the contracts. But remember, they also suffer from catalog. Like, you only have so much. So somewhere you need to go and get something from new talent. And that's the easiest way. And once you are in, yes, you start to obviously meet people, and then you start to get your own sort of, contracts. Because remember, there is security in getting a contract. If you get a contract for 3 years, you know that this thing is going to play no matter what. For the next 3 years, if you earn 600,000 this year from SAMRO, you know that the next year, and remember the rates always go up for the most part. So meaning your money only increases. So that's the idea that you need to have. Unlike gigging is a bit, but I've got a 3-year contract, hey, I'm sort of guaranteed that, I can focus on other things. And it's passive income. You don't have to attend to it.
Yeah, I've heard that, I'm just getting back to the statement that you made that many producers would have a lot of music but not really register it and notify SAMRO. In July, there was a statement by SAMRO, and I think about 50 million rands of money that was not collected because people did not register songs. So this is music that was being played, whether it's on radio or used by other retailers or whatever the case may be. But this was music that has generated 50 million rands, and people did not register the music. What seems to be the problem there, and is it getting sorted?
Yeah. So what you are referring to is what we call undocumented works. I'm sure some of you might have heard of that term. Some people call it the black box or whatever, but for the technical term is undocumented works. So SAMRO, it's not the value. It's not 50 million, but I know where you got that number from. The overall value of undocumented works ranges between 150 million rands, right? So what we are saying here, let me explain it so that you understand. And I'm going to tell you after that what you need to do, because there's a solution that we've put in place. So there's about 150 million rands that maybe the word is claimable. And that's the trick. So meaning, when we get usage from radio stations and TV, remember, radio stations and TV, they're not in the business of reporting to us. Think about it. They do it just because of compliance, right? So meaning, for the most part, and I'm not saying that they're doing a bad job, but for the most part, they just say, we'll just give you your data here, right? So meaning, sometimes the title that they give you, all the information might not all be populated correctly. So meaning then, as a CMO, you can't pay somebody. So because you can't pay somebody, what you do is that you just put it aside. In business, they'll call it a suspense account. It's like you paying now an EFT somewhere and then you don't have the right reference number. They just put it aside. So that's actually what we do. So, but we only put it aside for a certain time. So for 5 years, and after 5 years, we put it back into the what we call the general pool. So on that 5th year, the people that we are paying, we pay them a bit more, right? But let's focus on this money that I talked about, 150 million. So what you need to do now is that publishers have always had access to this information, by the way. So since I joined SAMRO, publishers could get what we call an undocked list, and they would be able to look through it and identify it. Because remember, especially for TV, some music is used in campaigns because they can actually use your music without you knowing. It happens sometimes. Or you know of a campaign, but you are not fully paid for it because SAMRO is not aware that your music is used there because according to what the radio station or the TV station gave us, they were not clear, as to what was used. But you know that your music was used in this small campaign. So at the end of the day, what you need to do, from the 7th of September, we put something on our portal. So obviously, yes, you would need to be a SAMRO member, right? But I mean, it's free, so I don't know why you wouldn't do it. So you just have to complete forms, and then done, you submit it, and you need to be, and then we give you access to the portal. On the portal, there's something that we call the undock portal. So there's a list, and it's quite simple. You literally go in there. The portal firstly will try and identify anything underneath your name or similar to your name and produce it, like put it in front of you so you can go and sort of maybe see if it's yours. But there's other fields where you can search and see if you can find the work that is yours. Yes, by the way, we will still check it on the other side. Doesn't mean that you can just go and notify everything. But the whole idea is that some of your music is used. You might not know about it because your music is out there and it's used on radio station, it's used on campaigns, whatever it may be, right? And at the end of the day, what we simply want to do is to say, listen, let's expose you to this information. And then you need to go and clean it up and say, oh, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And then from there on, we will actually process it. So to just answer it shortly, we put this thing in place on the 7th of September this year so that even, what we call a normal member would have access to it, not just a publisher would have access to it.
Cool. Just before we get to any questions, I want to ask about, certain benefits that are there for members, people who become members to SAMRO, like the SAMRO Foundation, as well as the funeral benefit cover for members. How do those work? How can members benefit?
Okay. So SAMRO has certain what we call social benefits, right? But let's talk about the operational ones firstly. Once you become a member of SAMRO, there's something that we call an IPI number, right? Remember, similar to when you are a resident of South Africa, you've got an ID. In the music industry as well, you need an ID, right? Because if your song is playing in the UK, how does your money come through to this side? And your song could be playing there on radio, you don't even know about it, right? So that's the first thing as a service that is provided to say, listen, we will monitor what's happening all over the world and make sure that wherever your work is used, it comes through. But remember, we need to register you as an individual. And then after that, there's something that we call an ISRC number. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. And then for SAMRO, however, there's something we call an ISWC number. So the ISWC number is for compositions. The other one is for recordings. So once you have that ISWC number, which we allocate to every single song automatically, then internationally, they can track which song is being used, hence how we can get the money through. So yes, we know who you are as a person, we know which song it is, the unique number for it. But besides that, then the social benefits would be, there's a retirement annuity, right? I know most of us are young, we don't think about this thing, but the unfortunate thing is that one day you'll get to that age where you're like, hey, you know what, I wish I would have saved a bit. So SAMRO, every single year, we allocate in the region of about 6.5 to 7 million rands, right, to the retirement annuity for members. So the way it's split is very simple. We firstly contribute what we call a proportional value, which means every single member, who has earned in that year will get in the region of about 500 to 800 invested on their behalf. And then the difference is then just, split pro rata, according to who earned the most. And this one there's no publisher who participates there. It's just natural people natural members that would participate. And then the next one, the one that you referred to, is also the funeral cover. And it doesn't just cover you, it covers the family. So, because most people have kids, wife and so forth. So it covers the family. So automatically it's built in where we already offer that. So if you look at it from a money terms, we spend about 6.5 to 7 million on the RA. And then in terms of covering, like funeral cover, we spend the region of about 2.5 to 3 million rands on that. So there's in the region of about close to about 10 million rands, to 11. That's just spent on making sure that, certain benefits are there. And that doesn't even include the SAMRO Foundation. So SAMRO Foundation is simply to enhance, to sell the South African concept internationally, as well as make it easier for you to, tour and do all those sort of things locally.
Are there still bursaries available for members? Yeah.
So there's still bursaries. So that's something that we do. And one of the big things that we are changing, hopefully for next year, the bursaries were mostly focused on the classical type of music, what we consider as Western type of music. So, we are looking and we are changing it so that it focuses on more the commercial, what we call commercial, so house, all that type of music, hip hop, so that literally, because that's what, let's be honest, that's what black people want to study. They don't want to go and study classical. It's unfortunate. Yes, there are some black guys, don't get me wrong, but it's mostly white kids that want to study that sort of stuff, because after that they go to Germany or something and they make it big there. But for us, we are trying to create something that is much more in tune with our members, and that's predominantly black. So that's what we are doing.
Cool. Let's get some questions. Start here.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, man. I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you something. As a commercial composer, I understand that you guys, you need a certain requirement for a member to start earning. I think you guys, I read somewhere on the website that you guys sit down every 3 months and discuss that someone needs to start earning. Just wanted to ask, is there a specific figure that one would have to get in terms of airplay? And is there, like for instance, like a company like your radio monitor, would it be able to provide such stats for my side to be able to track that, okay, actually I'm about to get paid now, or I'm about to be nominated as a member of, or to start getting paid or something like that. Yeah.
Sure, no, I get you.
Yeah.
So simply, you're correct, right? I'm just going to amend a few things so that obviously everybody gets, what is it that we do. So every single month, so we do it every month besides December, right? Because December we go to the AGM. Every single month we pull a report that informs us as to whom is supposed to be, or we are promoting. So there are 3 types of membership. You are a prospect, and then you become an associate, and then you become a full member, right? The only difference is that a prospect, you've got all access to the website and the SAMRO facilities, let's say, but you're not earning as yet, and we wait for you to get to the number that you're looking for is 100 rands. So once you get to 100 rands, then we elect you to become an associate member. Immediately, so nothing else changes. Immediately after that, we release whatever we have collected on your behalf, because it means we would have collected some money, but then all the social benefits kick in immediately. So thereafter, immediately after that, you've got the funeral cover, it's already implemented, and then we start to contribute for your RA, right? The difference with associate and full member is just that as a full member, you can then stand to sit on the board of SAMRO. Like, for example, on the 11th, the AGM, we have a SAMRO AGM, and we are electing, I think, 3 board members from the membership, right? So you can do that. That's the only difference. And in terms of radio monitor, we are currently, I can't state the name of the monitoring service, but we are currently implementing, we are linking our systems to a monitoring service. So simply meaning that we will not any longer wait for cue sheets and usage, information from MultiChoice or the SABC or whoever. So we're going to use it from the radio monitoring, from the monitoring system that we'll be using. So at the end of the day, it will mean that our systems will align with, whatever monitoring tool that you use. But if the query still remains now, if you're saying, but I pulled radio monitor and it says 1, 2, 3, we get that almost every day, where you can actually pull radio monitor and send it through to us and say, guys, based on these spins, that's normally what they call them, spins, please check because I might have some money there. So so we are actually in the process of linking that. So by next year, we should have that process running quite simply. And I think members are going to get more value.
Cool. Let's get one more over here.
My question is in regard of notifying a song. So my issue is, in fact, it's new to me when you say music, like a song that is played on radio, it falls under commercial. Am I right?
Okay, just to clarify quick, radio plays commercial and production music. The only difference, and I think that's the clarity that was being raised, is that production would be like when I say production, it's like your background music and mood music, and like when your soapy comes on, that opening sequence and closing sequence, all of that music that you hear, it's not free. We pay for it, right? In terms of royalties. A commercial song is like a track, like a normal track that just plays, like a DJ Tira track so that's the difference.
Okay, I get you. So my problem is before when I notify a song, I selected in fact the option that is production, not commercial. So I thought commercials was adverts. So in that regard, what do you do? Do you re-notify the song, or do you go back and do the same song but select another option?
No, you don't have to do anything. So that option that you choose to say commercial or production is just how you regard it. But remember, the user might use it differently, so you don't have to do anything. So let me give you an example. Most radio stations, as people talk, there's a song playing in the background, right? They can play a commercial song in the background. So they are using it as production music, but it's a commercial song. It doesn't matter, right, at the end of the day, because we pay the same unit rate. It doesn't matter whether if it's commercial or production. The only thing that I was raising is that when we talk about utilization, you will find that it's easier for a production song to get more utilization than a commercial song. Yeah, but you don't have to do anything. You don't have to change anything on what you've notified.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Do we have any more? Over there.
Hi. I just I'd like to know, after registering, okay, first of all, can you register online? Because I tried doing that and I haven't gotten a response in months. And how long does it take after registering for you to get your ISRC number or something like that?
Yeah, so the online registration, we've just opened it. You would have noticed that we haven't actually publicly announced it. I don't know if you noticed that. So it's a feature that we've put in on our website when you go to the composer section. because it is almost like on soft launch. If you understand the term, it's like it's working, but we are testing it, and the efficiencies, like what you're saying now. So we know we've got a backlog in terms of the online, and we are literally now, we've put some means in place so that we can try and make sure that it works out quickly. But there is a delay. The delay varies. For some people it's about a month, but I think the longest that we have seen so far is about 6 weeks. But we are trying to close that space so that people don't have to wait that long. And the whole idea is that when we fully launch it, we can actually commit to some sort of timeline, within a week for you to actually get the full turnaround time. So that's what we're doing now. And you'll notice you won't find it on Twitter or anything. It's just there, but we haven't told people about it. The ones that play around on our website, yes, they do find it because we didn't hide it. But you have to almost go to the website to pick it up. But overall, once you've registered, then you will get a letter that informs you that you have, these are your details. We give you what we call a BR number, business relation number, and that's what you'll use on the portal so that you can start notifying your works.
Cool. One more question there.
Afternoon, everyone. I just want to add up to you. I'm from the television side. Yeah, I'm a tuner, sound engineer. So to talk about the production music, like every time when we have to knock out, there's that cue sheet that we have to fill, and it's very long because first thing is that we have, like, I'm making for, I don't want to say that, come on, because I'll end up, yeah, but every time, each and every 30 seconds, I have to write the music that I have played, seconds, and so maybe like for our show, because sometimes they do hour, 2 hours, is maybe like the number of the cue sheet that I have to submit is like 15 or 10. And when you get the sting, you have to write how many seconds I've played for the sting, for that breaking news, and so on. So I just want to say, I've once mentioned that to someone, I say, I can see the gigging side of it, but the production side has more money than the other side, because I've worked with YFM and I could see what was happening there. So I could just end up saying production side. I'm not saying people must change their ways and go to the other side, but on my side, since I'm on the television side, most people are making more money. Like, for instance, I've worked with Label M on that Lion King thing. Look how much the guy made on it. So I'm just end up on the side. The production side has more money than gigging aside.
And I think just to add something quickly, guys, what is referring to in terms of the cue sheets, that's the usage that we receive right now. But I can tell you, even broadcasters, I know, we have meetings with the SABC. The SABC has created their own monitoring tool, right? They're actually testing it as I speak because they are sending data over to us because they know that problem of cue sheets, that sometimes people skimp on it or they don't do it properly. And you hear guys say, no, but my song has been playing on this program, but I'm not getting paid. But when we look at the cue sheet, it's not there. And there's a lot of things, that they have to put in, the bumpers, the fillers, the stings, whatever else goes into that opening, closing, background music. They have to include it in that cue sheet because we need that to know who do we pay. So anytime that information is not there, that's when that number that you spoke about, the undock, because we don't know who to pay. We know something was used, but but it's not clear. So we park it. But what I want to say is that because of technology, things are getting better. Because now the music monitoring tools will help in ensuring that we are able to capture a lot more music. But it's going to also require something from you. And I'm going to tell you what that thing is. And I can bet you half of you are still not going to do it. It's going to require you, SAMRO is going to send comms sometime in the future, early next year, that says, we need you to upload your music onto this platform. So obviously you go to the SAMRO platform and you will need to click there and upload it and include your metadata. Metadata is just details about that song, And remember, at the end of the day, if you don't do that, there is nothing for the music monitoring tool to compare it to. Think about it. All this thing is like Shazam, right? you need to have music in there, in the database for it to compare it to. But you will still get somebody coming through and say, no, I'm not getting paid. But you're like, did you upload your music? No, I didn't. So at the end of the day, there's always a responsibility on the creator as well to make sure that, you know, you upload or you do something so that you can get paid. But at the end of the day, all these improvements that we're putting in should actually make sure that you get paid correctly.
Cool. Do we have any more questions? No questions. Thank you, Brakevi.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's give a round of applause to